29M, my girlfriend, 26F, chose a Miami vacation over staying with me during emergency surgery. Hey Reddit, sorry if this gets long, but I really need to get this off my chest. 2 weeks ago, I started having these weird abdominal pains that wouldn't go away. At first, I figured it was just stress from work. I am an accountant and tax season just ended. Been pulling 60+ hour weeks. I tried antacids, heating pads, even those probiotics my coworker swears by. Nothing helped. Initially, I was going to tough it out, but after 3 days of barely sleeping and the pain getting sharper, my mom called and could hear something was wrong in my voice. She basically threatened to drive down from Colorado Springs herself if I didn't get checked out, so I dragged myself to urgent care last Thursday morning. The doctor took one look at me hunched over in the waiting room and fast-tracked me for a CT scan. The waiting was torture, sitting in that paper gown for 2 hours wondering what the hell was happening inside my body. When the doctor came back with results, his expression told me everything. "We found a mass in your abdomen," he said. "It is about the size of a tennis ball, and given its location and characteristics, it needs to come out immediately." A tennis ball, inside me. I felt like the room was spinning. He explained it could be anything from a benign cyst to something more serious, but either way, waiting wasn't an option. The mass was pressing against other organs and could cause complications. Surgery was scheduled for this past Monday, just 4 days away. I have never had surgery before unless you count getting my wisdom teeth out in college. This was different. This was my abdomen, general anesthesia, unknown recovery time. When I got back to our apartment, I found my girlfriend Selena packing her suitcase. She had been planning this Miami trip with her college girlfriends for over a month. They had booked this amazing Airbnb in South Beach, made dinner reservations, bought concert tickets. She had been talking about nothing else for weeks. I sat on the bed watching her pack and tried to figure out how to tell her. My hands were actually shaking. "Babe, how was the doctor?" she asked, without looking up from her packing. "I need surgery," I said quietly. "Monday morning, they found a mass." She stopped and turned around. For a second, I saw real concern in her eyes, and I felt this wave of relief. She was going to be there for me. A mass like cancer. Her voice was small. "They don't know yet. Could be benign, but it has to come out either way." She sat down beside me and took my hand. "That is scary, babe, but these things are usually nothing, right? Medical technology is so advanced now." I nodded, grateful she was trying to comfort me. Then I took a breath and said, "I am really scared to do this alone. I know you have your trip planned, but..." Her face changed. Not dramatically, but enough that I noticed. She dropped my hand. "Matthew, I have had this Miami trip planned for over a month. I have already paid for everything. Jessica's birthday dinner is Saturday night. I cannot just cancel because you are having a little procedure." A little procedure. Those words hit me like a punch to the gut. "I get that you have made plans," I said carefully, "but this isn't exactly routine. I have never had surgery before, and they don't even know what this thing is yet. But you said it is probably nothing serious, and it is just 1 day, right? The surgery, recovery could be several days, maybe a week." I was trying to keep my voice level. I just thought, "I don't know. I thought you would want to be here." She stood up and went back to her suitcase. "Matthew, you are being dramatic. People have surgery every day. You will probably be home by Tuesday. And honestly, what would I even do at the hospital? Sit around watching you sleep? Be there for me?" I said quietly. "I am here for you. I am being supportive, but I cannot be expected to put my entire life on hold every time something medical comes up. That is not fair to ask. Something medical comes up. Like this was a routine checkup I was making a big deal about. I didn't know what to say to that. Yes, she had been looking forward to this trip. Her friends had been planning it since January. But shouldn't your partner want to be there for something like this? Even if it turns out to be nothing? "I guess I just expected you would prioritize this," I said, "and I expected you not to guilt-trip me about living my life." She shot back. "This is exactly the kind of codependent behavior my therapist warned me about. Codependent for wanting my girlfriend of 2 years to stay with me during surgery. I didn't want to fight, especially not when I was already feeling scared and vulnerable, so I just said okay, have fun, and went to the kitchen to call my family. My sister Hannah, 32F, answered on the second ring. She lives in Portland and works for a marketing firm, usually crazy busy, always juggling multiple campaigns. When I told her about the surgery, she didn't even hesitate. "I am taking time off and flying out Sunday," she said immediately. Do you need me to handle insurance calls or talk to doctors beforehand? Hannah, you don't have to do that. I know you have that big presentation this week, Matthew. Shut up. I am coming. Family comes first, always. Besides, I have been meaning to visit and see your new place anyway. The contrast was jarring. Maybe I am being dramatic. Maybe couples don't always have to be joined at the hip during medical stuff. Maybe I am asking too much. But sitting here now, day before surgery, watching my sister fuss over me and make sure I have everything I need while my girlfriend posts Instagram stories from the airport, I cannot shake the feeling that something is fundamentally wrong here. Am I being unreasonable? I keep second-guessing myself, wondering if my expectations are too high. But when I think about being wheeled into that operating room tomorrow morning, I want my partner there when I wake up. Is that really too much to ask? Edit, for those asking, yes, we live together and have been for 8 months. To the people saying I should have put my foot down, I don't believe in ultimatums. If someone needs to be forced to care about you, they don't actually care about you. Someone asked about my parents. Dad passed away last year, heart attack, and Mom has severe arthritis. So traveling is really hard for her. Reading all your support is really helping right now. Thank you. Update 1, posted 4 days later. Hey everyone, thanks for all the overwhelming support on my original post. The surgery went really well, turned out to be a benign fibrous tumor, but it was larger than expected, closer to softball size, so recovery is taking longer than anticipated. I want to tell you about my nurse, Carla. She is this no-nonsense woman in her 50s who has been doing this for decades. On day 2 post-op, I was having a rough morning, pain medication made me nauseous, and I could barely keep water down. I kept checking my phone obsessively, waiting for someone. She asked while adjusting my IV. I told her about Selena being in Miami. Carla just raised an eyebrow and said, interesting priorities. Then she looked at Hannah, who was asleep in the chair beside my bed with work papers scattered around her and her laptop still open. That one there. That is what real love looks like. It hit me hard because Hannah has been absolutely incredible. She has handled all the insurance paperwork, talked to doctors when I was too groggy to understand medical jargon, brought me real food to supplement the hospital meals. She took a full week off work, including missing that big presentation she had been preparing for months. Without thinking twice. Your sister sacrificed a major career opportunity to be here, Carla added. Some people in this world show up when it matters. Others, well, they show you who they really are by not showing up. Meanwhile, Selena's Instagram has been a constant stream of beach photos, poolside cocktails, and club pictures. Stories every few hours of her and her friends living their best life. In one video from Tuesday night, her friend Maya asked if she was worried about me, and Selena laughed and said, "He is fine. It is just outpatient surgery. He will probably be home binge-watching Netflix by now. Outpatient surgery. I have been here 4 days and counting. I have been lying here with a lot of time to think about our relationship, and this isn't the first time Selena has prioritized fun over being supportive. Last year when I was really struggling after Dad's death, she complained that I was bringing down the mood at her friend's birthday party, said I needed to compartmentalize better and not let grief affect our social life. When I got food poisoning from that sketchy sushi place 6 months ago and was basically dying on the bathroom floor, she went to a Coldplay concert because you are just sleeping anyway, and these tickets were expensive. Left me alone for 6 hours while I was violently ill. When I sprained my ankle badly during our hiking trip last summer, she was annoyed that we had to cut the vacation short. Spent the whole drive home complaining about missing the hot springs we had planned to visit. I always justified it as her being independent and not wanting to be a caretaker type, that it was good for her to maintain her own life and not drop everything for me. But watching Hannah sacrifice without being asked, seeing how Carla treats complete strangers with more compassion than my girlfriend shows me, I think I have been making excuses for fundamentally selfish behavior. The worst part, Selena hasn't even called, not once. A few texts checking in. How are you feeling? And hope you are getting rest. But when I tried to actually call her yesterday morning during my panic attack, Carla told me it was completely normal. Surgery is traumatic. It went straight to voicemail. Her phone has been off or in airplane mode for most of the trip. This morning Hannah woke up in that uncomfortable chair for the 4th time and immediately asked what she could bring me for breakfast. She had already researched which foods would be easiest on my digestive system post-surgery. She has been sleeping maybe 4 hours a night and hasn't complained once. When I apologized for disrupting her life, she just said, "Matthew, this is what family does. You don't apologize for needing help. That is love." That is partnership. That is what I thought I had with Selena. I think I need to have a serious conversation with her when she gets back. Edit. For everyone asking about the conversation, she is not back until Friday. Apparently extended the trip another day because flights were cheaper and we found this amazing brunch place we have to try. Cool. To everyone asking about my recovery, doctors say I can probably go home Friday if my mobility keeps improving. Hannah's planning to stay through the weekend to make sure I am settled. Update 2. Posted 2 days later. Buckle up, Reddit. This gets absolutely wild and I am still processing what happened. So I was finally being discharged today, Friday afternoon, 6 days post-op. Feeling mostly human again, walking without assistance, able to eat normal food. Hannah was packing up my stuff and organizing all the flowers and cards people sent when Carla came in for one last check. She was doing her final assessment, checking my incision site and making sure I understood all the discharge instructions. As she finished up, she got this look on her face. You know that look, when someone is weighing whether to say something they probably shouldn't. She glanced at Hannah. Then back at me. Matthew, she said slowly, I am going to do something I have never done in 28 years of nursing. I hope you will forgive me, but I think you need to see something clearly. Before I could ask what she meant, she pulled out her personal phone and dialed a number. I was confused until I heard her say in a completely professional voice. Hi. Is this Selena? This is Nurse Carla from Presbyterian Hospital, calling about Matthew. No, he is not fine at all. We have had some serious complications overnight, and his condition has become critical. His blood pressure dropped dangerously low, and we are seeing signs of internal bleeding. If you care about him at all, you need to get here immediately. We are not sure how much time we have. I just stared at her in shock. Hannah's mouth fell completely open. Carla hung up and looked at us calmly like she had just discussed the weather. Sometimes people need a reality check about what actually matters. If she really loves you, she will be on the next plane. If she doesn't, she shrugged. I was torn between being grateful and absolutely mortified. Carla, you cannot just lie to her like that. What if she, honey? I have been a nurse for 28 years. I have watched too many good people waste their lives on partners who only show up when it is convenient. I have seen marriages end in these hospital rooms because someone finally realized they were with the wrong person. Consider this a public service. Hannah was trying not to laugh. Carla, that is either brilliant or completely insane. Sometimes brilliant and insane are the same thing, Carla replied with a wink. Within an hour, my phone was absolutely blowing up. Selena was calling frantically, crying hysterically, asking what happened. Her voicemails were desperate. Please pick up. Please be okay. I am so sorry. I love you so much. I let them all go to voicemail because, honestly, I didn't know what to say. This felt like some kind of psychological experiment I wasn't prepared for. Hannah convinced me we should wait and see what Selena actually does versus just what she says. Actions versus words, she said. Let's see if she actually gets on a plane or just keeps calling. She caught a red-eye flight that night, left her friends, left the vacation she had been planning for months, paid probably $800 for a last-minute ticket. Here is the thing though, and this is why Carla is basically a genius. I realized that it took thinking I was literally dying for Selena to prioritize me, when it was just surgery, just fear, just needing emotional support. I wasn't worth changing her plans. She showed up Saturday morning at 7 a.m., looking like she had been crying for hours. Her makeup was smeared, hair messy, still wearing the same club dress from Friday night. Hannah discreetly stepped out to get coffee and left us alone. Oh my God, Matthew, I was so scared. I thought I had lost you, she said, grabbing my hands desperately. The nurse said you were bleeding internally, that you might not make it. I have never been so terrified in my life. I just looked at her for a long moment. She seemed smaller somehow, less sure of herself. Vulnerable in a way I would rarely seen. I am fine, Selena. I have been fine the whole time. What do you mean? The nurse said you were critical, that there were complications. There weren't any complications. Carla called you because she wanted to see if you would actually show up for me. You should have seen her face. Confusion, then understanding, then anger, then something that looked like shame. That is not fair. She lied to me. She made me think you were dying. Yeah, I said quietly. She did. But you know what is also not fair? Your boyfriend having surgery to remove a tumor and you choosing margaritas and beach selfies instead. We talked for almost 3 hours. She tried to explain, justify, make excuses. Said she didn't realize how serious it was, that I seemed fine when she left, that she needed the vacation after work stress, that her friends were counting on her, that she thought Hannah had everything covered. I figured you didn't really need me there. she said. You are so independent, and Hannah was already coming. I thought I had just be in the way. It is not about need, Selena. It is about want. It is about choosing to be there for someone you love, even when it is inconvenient. But the moment that really crystallized everything, the moment I knew this relationship was over, was when she said, I came back, didn't I? When it mattered. I came back. When it mattered. Like the rest of it didn't matter. Like my fear didn't matter. My pain didn't matter. My need for support didn't matter. Only the threat of death mattered enough to make me a priority. You came back when you thought I was dying, I said, but you couldn't be bothered to stay when I was just scared. She started crying then, saying she understood now, that she wanted to do better, that she loved me and would never leave me alone again. But I could see in her eyes that she still didn't really get it. I told her I needed time to think. She is staying at her friend's place through the weekend. Hannah's driving me home this afternoon and staying through Monday to make sure I am settled and can manage on my own. Honestly, I think Carla did me the biggest favor of my life. Not just the phone call, but this whole week of seeing what real care looks like. Hannah never made me feel like a burden. She never acted like being there for me was a sacrifice or an inconvenience. She just was there, consistently, reliably, without question. That is what I want in a partner. Someone who shows up without being tricked into it. Someone who prioritizes my well-being simply because they love me. Edit. Rip my inbox again. To answer the most common questions. 1. Yes, Carla could potentially get in trouble for this. Please don't report her. She is retiring next month anyway. 2. Yes, I plan to send her the biggest thank you basket ever. 3. No, I don't think Selena is evil. Just fundamentally selfish. Final update. Posted 1 week later. Hey Reddit. Time for the conclusion to this emotional roller coaster. First things first, I am healing well physically. Back to work part-time this week, feeling almost normal. The incision is healing nicely, and I am cleared for all normal activities by next week. Hannah went back to Portland Wednesday, but we have been texting every day. She is already planning to visit next month just because Selena and I had our final conversation yesterday. We met at the cafe where we had our first date 2 years ago. Felt fitting somehow, full circle and all that. She would clearly been thinking hard about everything over the past week. Started by apologizing, which I genuinely appreciated. She said she had been talking to her therapist twice in 1 week apparently, and she wanted to learn how to be a better partner. I believed she meant it, but then we got into the deeper conversation, and she said something that really crystallized why this cannot work. I just don't understand why you needed me there so badly. You had your sister. You were going to be fine. It is not like you were actually dying or anything. I tried to explain. Again, that it wasn't about medical necessity. It was about emotional support, about partnership, about not wanting your person to face scary things alone, even when they technically could. She nodded like she understood, but I could see in her eyes that she didn't. Not really. To her, being there was unnecessary because I had coverage from Hannah. Like we are a business with backup staff instead of a romantic partnership. But I would have come if it was actually serious, she insisted. Like, if you were really dying or something, I proved that. You proved that you will show up if you think you are going to lose me forever, I said. But what about all the smaller moments? What about when I am scared but not dying? When I am sad but not suicidal? When I need support but not rescue? She got frustrated then. I cannot be expected to drop everything every time you have a bad day. That is not realistic in a modern relationship, and there it was. The fundamental disconnect. She sees love as something you do when it is easy, convenient, or absolutely necessary. I see it as something you do especially when it is not easy, when it requires sacrifice, when it is inconvenient, when it means putting someone else's needs above your wants. The conversation continued for another hour, but that moment told me everything I needed to know. The final straw was when she said, well, if you are going to hold this over my head forever and never trust me again, maybe we should just break up. I wasn't holding it over her head. I was trying to use it as a starting point for understanding how we could be better partners going forward. But her instinct was to treat my hurt as an attack on her character rather than information about how to love me better. So we broke up. It was sad but not devastating. I think I had already done most of my grieving during those 6 days in the hospital. She moved her stuff out yesterday while I was at work, which honestly was probably better for both of us. Left the apartment key and a note saying she hopes I find someone who appreciates me properly. I think she meant it as a passive-aggressive dig. But actually, I hope so too. Some people asked about Carla in my last post. I went back to the hospital yesterday to thank her properly and let her know how everything turned out. Brought her a huge flower arrangement and a card with a gift certificate to her favorite restaurant. Hannah did some detective work with the other nurses. When I told her we broke up, she just nodded knowingly. Good. You are too young and too good to settle for someone who makes you feel alone in your own relationship. Find someone who makes you feel found. Such wise words from someone I knew for 6 days but who understood me better than my girlfriend of 2 years. I am taking time to be single for a while. This whole experience taught me so much about what I actually want and need in a partner. Someone who shows up consistently, not just during emergencies. Someone who would rather be uncomfortable beside me than comfortable without me. Someone who doesn't need to be tricked or guilted into caring. Hannah visits in 2 weeks. We are planning to check out some hiking trails I have been wanting to explore. Gentle ones. Doctor's orders. She said we should make it a regular thing, monthly sibling adventures to different parts of Colorado. I love that idea. Having her support during this whole ordeal reminded me how important family connections are. Work has been understanding about my recovery time, and I am actually feeling more optimistic about life than I have in months. It is amazing how much energy you have when you are not constantly wondering if your partner actually cares about you. Take care of yourselves. Reddit, and thanks for helping me see clearly when I needed it most.